Hey everyone, thanks for watching. I have a really exciting show for you today. I have someone on this who has been all over the media. You may have seen her on a Realty 411 cover of all things. Got to be impressed with the cover. Welcome to the show, Holly Lynn. How you doing this morning, Holly?
Thank you so much.
So
I'm doing
Holly,
well.
good. So you do so much in this business, both in speaking and in sharing, but you also do some interesting things around corporate Airbnb, and you have the moniker of Queen of Capital. Where would you like to start in your story?
Oh my goodness, that is such a open book. Um, First of all, the name Queen of Capital was given to me on accident at a conference, backstage. Somebody was walking by. I was talking to somebody else. I was networking, and someone, one of my group members, walked by and said, "Don't you know who you're talking to? That's the Queen of Capital," and it stuck.
Well, there are worse names to be
It
called.
just never went away, even though even though it's not something that like I use so much anymore. But yeah, it's a fun one, and you're right, there are absolutely worse things to be called. But that was good time. So that's how that came about. And yeah, speaking of the you know the speaking and stuff like that, yeah, I love to help people. And what was the other question?
One of the things you mentioned in our little 5-minute conversation was corporate Airbnbs, which is a topic we haven't had, and love to dig into that a little more whenever appropriate.
Absolutely, yes. um it's completely the new hotel. It's amazing, and I love to be able to help people by booking their homes. And there's so many situations going on, but when people have a home that's sitting there, or they want to cash flow off of it. Some people have even come to me and said, "Hey, look, my house has been on the market, and I can't sell it." Whatever it is, whatever it is, you have a home, you don't live in it. Okay, that be the final situation. But yeah, I'm actually really, really masterful at getting those booked. I think what people would say they love most of all is that they just get a check. So as far as the housekeeping, you don't worry about that. As far as finding people to stay in it, and getting the guests, you don't worry about that. And as far as the maintenance, usually there's some kind of deposit on the home, and so there's so many things you don't worry about. It's kind of a dream, to be honest with you. There's a lot of value there.
Yeah, and I think it's just an interesting model because I was a business professional who traveled all over the globe for 15 years, and I frankly hated staying in hotels. I think the idea of a corporate Airbnb is better for the traveler, but I can also see it being incredibly attractive to the homeowner because you don't have this whole, only renting the weekends and the whole vacation vibe, drunken bachelor party stuff, right? Corporate folks are usually one person, and we don't bring a lot of stuff, right? One bag on an airplane, and we're kind of easy to deal with, I would think.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I see is that, take for instance, everybody's on this health kick. Everybody wants to be healthy. They want to cook. So many people are on keto and stuff like that. And so actually having a place where, whether it's your entire family or it's just you, is very beneficial because of the kitchen. And so it really supports that. And you can find great prices too.
That's an excellent point. I didn't even put that together. You're right. Somebody who travels a lot wants to stay on a, I don't know if you call it a strict diet, but any diet. It's great to have your own kitchen and fridge and all those extras. You're very right.
You know what? I'm one of them. I'll be honest with you. I guess secret of mine is that I have always struggled, not with my health so much, but with my weight. And that is all part of my health. I have struggled that all through my life. And what I've discovered is now whenever I travel, I actually don't book hotels. I only book Airbnb, but it allows me to just cook. And so I'm eating, what I'd like to be eating. It's such a much better choice.
Oh, I need to think about that more when I travel, and because you're right. I live clean when I'm at home, but as soon as I got to a hotel, it's like, oh, cheeseburger, pizza.
Yes.
It's like, oops,
Totally.
darn it, gotta have the ice cream sundae too. But anyways, I gotcha. I feel you. So, as far as corporate Airbnbs, when you look at those, do you see those dominating in major metropolitan areas, or do you think it's available across the country?
I think they're available across the country. They're everywhere now. That's the old new thing, and it still hasn't tackled people, or it hasn't tackled everywhere yet. But I really do see um, the benefit to where that is really helping people out. That most of them would say, like, take for instance, what I'm getting is so many people, including myself, have either they don't want to manage, they
Mhm.
they want to cash flow. That's really what it's about. How they cash flow, they're not so picky about. But they don't want to manage. They don't want a long-term tenant. That always comes with the drawbacks and benefits, but it's really it's a personal choice. But what happens is some people are stuck in this place where it's like, whatever it is, and it's a great thing you can also try. So what happens is that, like, if you're not sure you want to get a long-term tenant in there, you can't just try it out and say, hey, you have to
Yeah,
go because this isn't working.
right.
Whereas for short-term rentals, you can actually really, like, try it out. That would be my suggestion. Is we come up with a plan for you, you try it out, and you go from there. But what I would say is that usually once people get into it, like, they don't go out. It's just, it's great.
Yeah, they get addicted to that cash flow, which is really what they want
Yeah,
at the end of the day. And if they get lower risk and less management and headaches, that's all cherries and ice cream. So I
absolutely.
get it. So how does it work? Does a homeowner sort of come to you and say, Holly, I have this asset in city X, help me out, or how does it kind of work?
Yeah, what you would do is if you are, like, just curious about it, if people are just straight, like, it starts with curiosity. They have this situation, um, and you're curious, and then you want to talk about it and go from there. Yeah, you just contact me. There's a lot of things that I can help you make sense on. And then a lot of, say, the fears that people have and why they don't actually take action on it, those are those are very common. So those are things that, once you kind of walk through them a little bit, it starts to make sense. Those are really, really common fears.
Sure.
And that's what I'm going to say. The only thing I ever see people, get held back by. And then once you kind of understand more of that, it's a no-brainer. And, a benefit also, something new that has becoming, a big thing, is people actually, they like to have this location because, say, for instance, people come in and out of town, their kids, their mom's coming out into town, or whatever it is. They want it available for, when they want it. And that is such a blessing, and a bonus. They say that all the time. They're like, wait, but my mom is coming in September. She's coming for a week, and I need it. It's like, great, just block
Yeah.
off the calendar.
Yeah, exactly. No problem. We'll just block those 2 weeks off. Treat it. Yeah, I got you. Very cool. So,
Hmm.
I obviously this makes sense for a lot of folks if they, maybe they inherited a house or they have a house because they got married and they had two. Now they live in one. I get it. But I'm curious, are investors going, hey, I'm going to buy something today that I don't own and just turn it over to you as a corporate Airbnb?
You
Because
are good. Oh my goodness, you have the best question. So I love that one. It's one of my favorites. The reason I actually love that one so much is because I'm an equity person. Okay.
Yeah.
So here is a really big thing with buying short term rentals. I'm not going to say everybody's saying this is my thing for sure. It being a short term rental and being a business is just as much of a guarantee as anything else. There isn't one. So the only reason I would ever buy a property and have it be a short term rental is because I got a grand slam on the equity. That is it. So I'm an equity person. I collect equity, the equity opportunities, big on equity. So what a lot of people are doing, and if it works for you, that's fine. But what a lot of people are doing is they're buying the property going, okay, so these are the numbers, the projected numbers, and so on, for this to make sense to be this amount. A part, like the way that I look at that is not necessarily one, there are cancellations. Okay.
Yeah.
Two, there are complaints. And that is actually one of the things that I'm really good at is dealing with complaints. We haven't even gotten to that yet, but there is all these different ways that say, take for instance, you're looking at purchasing it from this number because of all these bookings. What if those bookings don't happen? What if, say, for instance, half of them complain and you don't know how to fight, for your money? What if? Okay.
Yep.
So for me personally, there's not enough equity and protection there. And the equity that I'm talking about is kind of like the old school equity where you're buying, homes for penny on the dollar. It just is, because the structure itself, like the place, the home, the townhouse, the condo, whatever, it's actually not worth anymore in my eyes. Many people may differ on that, and that's okay. But for me, and I only talk about the deals, that I do, the experiences I've had, because that's really the way that I look at deals. So I don't go into it going, there is this home and you're buying it for 400,000, but your cash flow is right here, it's already this. It doesn't make sense. There are so many things that can, it's kind of like, say for instance, doing your numbers on a remodel.
Yeah.
So to get to the bottom of that, me personally, I don't purchase places thinking of it as being a business model.
Yeah. Well, I'm really glad you said that, because one of the things that, I'm known for is being very conservative, because I survived the last crash and saw lots of people get crushed with over leverage. And my fear with Airbnb in general, not corporate Airbnb, but Airbnb in general, is too many mom and pops are trying to buy assets today with, cash flow models that are at best perfect, that won't survive in a downturn, and they're going to lose them. So I like it that you're an equity player. That's really strong.
Yeah, big time.
Like,
And touching on something about that too, this is just a nugget. I have a thing with giving little nuggets. I'm not sure who out there is paying attention to it or not, but me and my partner were just talking the other day about, you know how you just said that you crashed in the in the last crash. You crashed in the last crash. Okay, so I monetized off of that really well. I prepped for it thinking, because it was my first one, it was the invisible one, like it's like they kept saying whatever.
yeah.
So they're saying it's going to happen, and somewhere in there I just kind of, the universe told me prepare, just like kind of prepare. So I did well on that, and right now I'm actually preparing for the second one. And I know people are saying it's not going to crash as hard as this and that, but guess what? We were actually just discussing this yesterday. We were discussing how, do you remember when the last one happened? What happened was they were doing they were doing bank statement
Yeah,
loans.
liar loans.
They were doing bank statement loans, so people that can act right. So people who actually couldn't afford the money that they were borrowing it, and so they actually took out. I believe the Fed took out bank statement loans, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm not sure if that was the Fed, but I remember a lot of people wouldn't do them. So heads up, they're doing them again,
Yeah.
and it's kind of an inevitability. And so if I could say anything, hey, you know,
Yeah.
that's it's a thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah, there's no question that lending has gotten easier and easier, and you know, we invested through the crash last time and survived just fine, but we saw lots of people get buried because they were over leveraged. And yeah, these stated income loans were a huge problem. They were eliminated for a long time, but they're back. They're back, and it's going to happen again. Is it next month, next year, 2 years? I don't know, but it'll happen again for sure. Um, Holly, why don't we talk about a couple of deals that you've done and kind of how they made sense, and maybe how you survived last time and what you're preparing for this time. You've been in the game a while and have a lot to give.
Um, so how I actually survived is that is such a loaded question, and I'm trying to think of how to simplify it, because I mean, so many things I'm thinking of. It's a whole nother show. But to keep it easy, I did. So I survived that one, and what I had was I had a lot of finance, preparation to buy up. I just
Okay.
did it. So I bought in San Francisco,
Oh,
and when I bought, when I bought there, the person I actually bought from was paying on a loan that they had from when it was good,
yeah.
and so I was actually able to secure myself in that one. Let's see, there in between, I think that was 10 years ago. And in between there's been lots. I've partnered up on, some multifamilies that have, done really well. I have partnered up on some other homes. One is in Marin County, that one. And so, but where I've come to is more of an equity, so there are, I've done a few rehabs, I've done some rehabs. I'm going to say I am not a rehab person. My partner is, thank God, because then that's a part of buying equity.
Absolutely. So, as you look at what's coming in in the future, this next downturn, would you think you're going to stay in San Francisco, or would you go somewhere else in the Bay Area, or you don't know yet?
San Francisco is cash flowing, so I'm gonna. I don't have a reason to not keep. But here's the thing with living, like actually having a place to live. To be honest with you, everything everywhere is rented.
Yeah.
So I'm more flexible. I'm a flexible person. I live out of a suitcase, and yeah, no, it's awesome. I mean, because I'm traveling everywhere. You never, I got booked in LA actually 3 times. I'm booked in LA 3 times this year. I
Oh,
just came back from LA. We just we just spent a week in Palm Springs. At a mansion over there. And so I'm all over the place, and I love it. And so what I actually do is all of the locations everywhere, I monetize as much as possible. It's not, there's things, you just, yeah, you make money like so I don't need a home to, like, say, call my own. Like,
okay.
I actually don't require that. And, when one of the locations are booked, I'm like, great, fine. A little, like, a little snack that I stick by, like a little idea I stick by, is just to make sure, say for instance, I'll go stay I'll rent another Airbnb, and as long as, like, I keep it inexpensive, and I'm making a spread, I'm good.
Got it.
But
Perfect.
usually what happens is I'll get the what?
I said perfect. Makes total sense to me.
Yeah. Usually what happens is, like wherever it is I get booked, I have to go there anyway, and so when I go there, you have to leave. And in some of the areas I have closets that are locked up, so
Oh,
I don't pay for storage. I make it work. Like, I make it work. It's good times.
very, very cool. So you're doing so much, you give so much away. There's going to be a lot of people that hopefully want to reach out to you and talk about this corporate Airbnb more. How can they reach out to you? How can they follow you? What's the best way to, follow the travels of Holly Lynn?
Sure. So you can go to my website, which is very easy, hollylynn.com. It's HOLLYLYNN. And if you wanted, we didn't get into my meetup group. I have a very, very large meetup group in the Bay Area because I'm a social butterfly. I connect people constantly. And that is called the Bay Area Multifamily Meetup, and BAMF for short. You can't miss it. Once you go on there, if you want to Google all that, it's probably all over the place. But that is a great way to connect in person. And then I'm also on Instagram, Queen of Capital 101, that good old nickname.
I like it.
And then there's always my Facebook, and stuff like that. But to dial direct, absolutely my website. Go ahead and put in your information on the information page, and that will come to me, and we can set something up. Yeah, I'd love to connect. That's what I do. That's every deal that I've actually ever done. Every person. I mean, there's sometimes I'm actually I coach myself, and so I write down the connections you make, how many, how much, like, because your actual net worth, including your invisible net worth, is what you're helping other people do too. You know what I mean? I went to a really famous coach. He coached me for a while. I don't want to, say his name right now because, they're not endorsing me or anything, but I went to a very famous coach, and he does a lesson called Where's My Millions? So what he'll have you do is sit down, write down everything you have, every person, not in your life so much, but every person you've ever connected, that is your actual invisible network, the value, your blueprint. And so it's really important to see that. And what was my point of that? Even I wanted to help. I say.
No, you just give it back. That's okay. It's all right. It's awesome.
Yeah. And but that's my thing. I mean, people are always messaging me with what attorney, needing a broker. And then, to be honest with you, with most people, we get into this conversation and kind of zhuzh up and work through ideas. No one ever thought of it's great. It's fantastic. And so that's like how my deals come about. This one wants to do this one wants to, and then you get grounded and go, what's possible?
Right.
What's possible in this situation?
Very
And
cool.
then you just you go for it.
Well, let's give a shout out to your meetup. Tell us more about the meetup. Is it meet like every third Thursday, or what's the deal with your meetup?
So as of right now, BAMF meets every third Tuesday and Wednesday of the month. The locations are Fremont and San Francisco, and then oftentimes online as well. There's not podcasts, but there's webinars. There are, it's an abundance of information, and the information is all free. So there's actually no fee to join. There are, we actually really work on keeping the like, say for instance, the cost of like the fees down,
Yeah.
so that, you know, more people, and some people say it should be the opposite, but the reason I keep it that way is because there are people like I once was, that they're just trying to figure out what it is, you know, direction they're trying to go. And I've done really well. I've done exceptionally well. And I keep striving to, you know, like you were just telling me, it's all about helping now because you're retired. You know, just because of my own, you know, how I'm wired, I don't think I can. So I actually never worked. I stopped working in 9 to 5 when I was
Oh, wow.
19. And yeah, I know. I'm on the go. I travel. I
So
can't,
like two or
I've
three,
always
only
been
2 or 3 years ago, right?
absolutely. Yes, actually, no more than 5 years ago.
There you go. Well,
Yes.
you're clearly a go-getter, giving back. It's fun to watch somebody who has just a true joy and passion for real estate. It really comes through in everything you do, which is
I
fun.
love it. No, I love it. I actually totally love it. There was one guy that after one of the classes, and it was just about 2 months ago, I could tell he walked all the way back he walked to his car, he came all the way back, and he goes, Holly, I forget to ask you one thing. He said, what's my next step? I went, nice. And I could just tell, you know, he was trying to work it out, you know, but that's great. And when you give, to be honest with you, when you give and you're abundant, you know, you people come to you, like the deals come. There is not a shortage of them, and I know a lot of people think that there are. It's not my experience.
Yeah, mine neither. Absolutely right. Well, this has been so much fun, Holly. I appreciate you for giving my time. I look forward to a lot of people reaching out to you. Thank you so much.
I look forward to it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You're
Yay.
awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yay.